Hey everybody, this is Brenda Devine from Purpose 8 Institute, and you're listening to my podcast, Living a Life of Purpose, where we discuss the importance of purpose in our everyday lives. Discovering and living out your purpose keeps you focused on God's purpose. That is sharing the good news of salvation with others. This podcast is for people like me, still searching for the answers to who am I and why am I here? You and I were designed and created by God for purpose, and we have much to do. You can listen and subscribe to my podcast, Living a Life of Purpose with Brenda Devine on Anchor and all other podcast platforms. Hey, this is Brenda Devine from Purpose 8 Institute. Hey, thank you so much for joining me for another episode of my podcast, Living a Life of Purpose. So today's topic is contentment. Do we really trust God? So I'm going to give you a heads up. There's probably going to be some rambling on this podcast. I tend to write and talk about the things that I'm going through. And for about maybe the last month or so, I've had a feeling that I don't typically have, which is contentment. And so I've been studying about it. Well, first, it was a surprise because like I said, I've never encountered that feeling, and I had to ask the Holy Spirit what it was, and he told me it was contentment. So I started studying about it so I could understand it more biblically, what contentment is. And like I said, I try not to write or speak about something that I really don't know, and contentment is elusive. It is elusive. It comes and it goes. But I was feeling on my spirit that I should make some comments about contentment, of what I know at this moment as I'm learning to understand contentment. First off, it is a process. It is not something that you go and read a book and it's 1, 2, 3. But I have been reading, and it gives me more understanding of different writers' perspectives of it, reading the Bible, of different perspectives of people who struggle and have struggled with contentment. The clearest example that I found so far in the Bible is the Apostle Paul, and him being content in every situation, whether it's being high or being low. And even going through this past 2 years and the different emotions that I've gone through, there has not been contentment until the last month or so. And a lot of that has to do with not fully trusting God. You know, we say we trust God. We trust Him because we know Him. We've had experience with Him in the past. We know that He is going to come through for us. We know that He loves us. So we can count on his character. Contentment also involves our character of being satisfied with what God is doing in our lives, being satisfied with his hand over our lives, how our lives are flowing. Are they aligning up with our expectations? And that's a human problem. There's something ingrained in us. Even Adam and Eve, they were in the garden, and they still weren't content. So it's ingrained in us. Discontent has speckles of pride in it. Look at Lucifer. Lucifer was in heaven with God. He was a bright, beautiful, intelligent, and still he wasn't content. And it's in us as humans to want more, to look over the side of the road and see someone else and say, I wish I was that person, or I wish I had that, or why can't I have that, or why can't I be that? Why did they get that? Why can't that happen to me? Why am I not married? Why don't I have kids? Why don't I have that job? Why was I offended? Why did that happen to me? Why am I not that? How come I can't get that? Why can't I have that home? Why can't I have that job? Why can't I have that husband? Why can't I have that wife? Why can't I make that money? Why is my health the way it is? Why do I look the way I do? Why am I not satisfied? We all have that. Why? Why not me? Why not me? It's me. We all think the world revolves around me. So we're not content. And we say it's not about us, but really, when you think about it, we're living life, excuse me, and we got this circle around us, 360 around us. And sometimes that's all we see. What's in front of us, what's on the side. And then we look back and we're like, oh, that's behind us. That's all we focus on. It's what's going on with us. And how that should align to our will and not God's will. Nobody wants to go through a tough season. Nobody wants to be without. Nobody wants to be in pain. No one wants to be hurt. No one wants to be offended. No one wants to be discounted. Everybody wants to be valued. That's true. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem comes in that I found is the complaining and the murmuring and the discontent, like the children of Israel as they walked through. They had opportunity to get to the promise, but they grumbled so much, complained so much. We do the same thing. We're never satisfied. We always want more. And then we see someone else and our hearts go that way. And then we have this spirit of vexation. I've got to have what they have. Now we're all agitated because we're not making the money that somebody else is making. We're not driving the car. We're not living in the house. We're not with the person that we think we should be. Our kids are not what we think they should be. We're not what we think we should be. We're just not happy with anything. We are discontented. That's the problem. We don't really trust God. We don't really trust His hand on our lives. We don't really believe that all things will work together for good, do we? So when I went through being humbled by God, and He had His hand on me, and I felt so low, I thought that was the most difficult lesson. But now, as I am growing, I'm learning, I'm understanding more. God is blessing me with more understanding. This lesson of contentment, it is elusive. There are days and moments when we are content. We can be content, and let's not confuse happy with content, because being happy is not content. What I'm learning is that contentment is being satisfied. Our soul is satisfied with God's hand, what He's allowing to happen, the good and the bad, and being satisfied with it. Not that we're not concerned or paying attention, but at the end of the day, we're not really in control of anything. Not at all. Not at all. This morning when I got up, there's this window that is above my bed. And I was looking out, thinking about what I was going to talk about today. And I was looking out at the window, which is a little small window, but I can look up and I can see the sun come in. And there's a tree outside. And it's winter, so there's little leaves that are still there hanging on the tree. And I started thinking about looking at the leaves, and thinking that could be one leaf, and it's on that tree. And then you have all these other branches. Well, on every branch, there's many, many leaves, and because they're winter, they're dry. And the wind goes back and forth, and some of the branches sway, and some of them don't. When it was warm, they were full and they were green, and they were satisfied with their place on the branch. They may have not liked the heat coming from the sun in the summer. Now it's cold, and they may not be happy with the cold, but they're on the branches. Some of the leaves have fallen already, but they're still on the branches. They're still alive. They're still on the tree. They're still there. And they're satisfied where they are. I don't hear them complaining. They may, but I don't hear them complaining. They're satisfied where they are. They're grateful to be on the tree. They're grateful to be alive. They're grateful to see the sun in the sky. They're grateful just to be on the tree. The tree that God created. They're grateful. And then they've seen the other leaves fall. They know they're going to fall too. And when they fall, they know they're going to be grateful, because they're going to return back to God as they were. So that was a lesson for me about being content. One of our biggest problems is complaining. And I have been a complainer all of my life. When things are going good, when things are going bad, I got an opinion about it. And really what I've learned is that me complaining about God's hand is really that I'm not recognizing his authority to do what he wants to do. I'm not in charge of anything. I'm not in charge of the world. I'm just a leaf on a tree that eventually will fall. And as much as we don't like to understand or agree or go along with that, that's what it is. And we have to wrap our heads around it. Whether we agree or disagree, that's what it is. But our soul wants to be satisfied. My soul wants to be satisfied. There's less stress in contentment. There's so much less stress in being content and being grateful for what we have. Not saying that you can't want any more. Not saying you're not happy with what you have. I mean, you can have goals and aspirations, but it's a process learning to be content. And it's going to be a lifelong journey and a lifelong process of being content, because we are easily distracted, by what we see, by what we hear, by old feelings that have not settled. We are easily distracted from contentment. And I don't know anyone who is the master of it. Contentment. So it is a process. It is a journey. The good thing about it is being introspective of ourselves and understanding more about how we speak of discontent or think of it, and we're not even really understanding that we're complaining and we're going against God's will. We are to be aligned to his will. That means we're going with him. He's pushing. He's got his hand on us. He's pressing us. We have to be satisfied with that. He's elevating us. He's growing us. We have to be satisfied with that. We can't keep comparing ourselves to everybody else. Everyone has different gifts and talents, different faith. It's measured out. So we have to learn how to be content and satisfied where we are. Because whether we're high or whether we're low or in the middle, there's different vantage points, different perspectives to see at those different points, to get closer to God, to understand more about ourselves, to study more. Whether we're high, low, or in the middle, we still need to stay close to God so that we can stay grateful for where we are and be content. So I'm sharing with you what I'm learning, and I'm gonna let you marinate on that a little bit. And this is Brenda Devine from Purpose 8 Institute. Here, I'll talk to you in a little bit. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining me on my podcast, Living a Life of Purpose, on Anchor and all other major podcast platforms. To learn more about Purpose 8 Institute and our ministry of sharing the importance of purpose, please visit our website, www.purpose8 purpose8institute.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and even TikTok. If you would like to learn more about purpose beyond this podcast, Living a Life of Purpose, you can also purchase one of my books that are available on my website, purpose8institute.com, and also on Amazon.